What if I told you that one of the greatest rock albums of the 1980s came from an artist who broke every rule about what a female singer should be? I'm talking about Pat Benatar and Crimes of Passion from 1980. This is the album that made her a household name. So I decided to do a Pat Benatar video. I recently did a video on another channel called the Green Man's Channel. And he has a series called Dark Horse Discs. And one of the videos that I did was about her album from 1991 called True Love. So because of that, I was inspired to do a Pat Benatar video. And plus, this one had an anniversary, I think, last month or maybe a few months ago. And I didn't get to it. I've always wanted to do a video on this album because I've always loved it. And I'm going to be talking about that in a minute because it's one of those albums that I had when I was young, a child. I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. So back then, my older brother, he had a bunch of records. We had a record player in our basement. And we used to go downstairs and listen to records. I used to listen to the Beatles and the Doors and Queen and lots of different albums. But he also had a few other artists who were more like female-fronted artists. He had the B-52s. I think we had one Blondie album. And he had Pat Benatar. He had a few albums. He had this one. And he had, I believe he had Get Nervous from 1982. But I remember, I think it was this one, Crimes of Passion, was the one that I used to listen to all the time. And this is why it's my favorite album. It has lots of memories. It just takes me back to when I was this young kid in my basement with my record player, just listening to records, just hanging out, listening to all this rock music. And that's why I want to do a video on it. So I'm going to start by giving you some background on who Pat Benatar is. So looking at my notes, I'm probably going to butcher this name, but her real name is Patricia Andrzejewski. She was born in Brooklyn, New York. And she was a trained classical vocalist, and she also studied opera. She left her full-time job, I guess, in the late 70s, and she pursued music. So she caught her big break in a club in New York called Catch a Rising Star. It's a nightclub, and that's where she was discovered. Her debut album came out in 1979. I don't remember if I had this one. I just remember the song Heartbreaker. It's called In the Heat of the Night. And this one had lots of cover songs, but it also had that really big hit called Heartbreaker. And that's a really cool hard rock song. So that's one of her staples. But I think this album has some of her bigger hits. Or there's actually one song that became really big, which I'll talk about later. So this is the new album. She got together with Neil Girardo, who later became her husband. At the time, they weren't married. She divorced her first husband in 1979. And they married in 1982, and they actually have 2 daughters who appeared on some reality shows later on. But anyway, let me get back to this album. It was recorded at Sound City Studios in Van Nuys, California, produced by Keith Olsen, and he also worked with Fleetwood Mac and Foreigner, and the band just worked really hard in the studio. They have a lot of great chemistry together. And the album was released in August of 1980. So again, the anniversary was a few months ago. It did very well. It hit number 2 on the Billboard 200 and it stayed there for 5 weeks. Now, why didn't it hit number 1? Because it was kept out of the top spot by another big album. Guess what it was? AC/DC's Back in Black. There's some pretty cool trivia for you. It probably would have made number 1 if it hadn't been for AC/DC. So moving on. I'm going to go track by track and then we'll conclude all this. So the album opens up with Treat Me Right. Pretty good song to open up the album. It's a hard rocker. Just has that nice kind of foot stomping rhythm. It's just really great. It sets the tone for the whole album. After this is You Better Run. This one, I didn't notice. It's a cover of a 1966 Young Rascals song. So that's pretty cool. The original song is actually more laid back, more soulful, but this is a harder rocker. This has Neil Girardo's guitar, and it sounds really good. Pat has some powerful vocals on this one, and it was a hit, a minor hit. And here's some more trivia for you. It was the second video to ever be played on MTV after Video Killed the Radio Star by the Bugles. So there's some interesting stuff. Now, after this is a track, I guess it's a decent track, but kind of like a thriller track. If this album has any thriller, I'd say this is it. Never Want to Leave You. It's good. It's melodic. It has a very early 80s sound. If any songs were really like fitting into that new wave type of sound or that pop sound, it's this one. It's a decent track, but it's not like one of the strongest, because the next like two songs are going to be the best ones, which is the one. I have my favorite song coming up, but it's not the big hit, which is Hit Me With Your Best Shot. I like it. This is the most memorable song. This is the one that kind of put her on the map and made her a household name. It has that awesome guitar riff. I'm pretty sure it's easy to play. I'm pretty sure I could play it if I picked up my guitar, but I didn't bother to learn it before I started recording. But it's definitely a great song. Hit Me With Your Best Shot. It's a feminist statement, although she didn't mean it to be, but she didn't really. She said like in interviews later that it didn't bother her that it became a feminist statement. But it's more about strength, resilience, and just an awesome like rock song. This is just a pure rock song. Great guitar solo by Neil Girardo. But my favorite song on the album, and one that I remembered listening to ever since I was a kid, Hell Is For Children. It's a controversial song. I would even say borderline a metal song. I would even say a metal power ballad, even go as far as saying that. Because it does have that type of format with like the darker sound, the softer verse, and like the harder chorus. So it fits that format. It tackles a controversial subject matter about child abuse, but it's from the point of view of the person doing the abuse. So parts of, when you listen to the lyrics, you can hear lines like, tell grandma you fell off the swing. So it's a very dark song. It's really emotional. It's powerful. And that's why it's my favorite Pat Benatar song. I think this is like her closest thing to a metal song. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. But I'm Gonna Follow You. And another one, it's more of a pop song written by Billy Steinberg. And the song is catchy, but it's fun, a little different, and it kind of like gives a little variety to the album. But I like this one. This next one I like a lot. I didn't know it was a cover song. It's called Wuthering Heights, originally by Kate Bush. Now, I like the song because she has these like different vocal styles. She has like this softer, more like feminine style, whereas, you know, Pat Benatar usually has like this more of like a harder, angrier type of voice, but more of a powerful female voice. That's probably a better way to describe it. But she can go really soft and operatic. I think this shows up her classical training. And as I was thinking, it's a Kate Bush song, so I thought it would be pretty cool to hear Pat Benatar appear in a Stranger Things episode. And I know the new season is coming up in a few weeks as of this recording. So that would be cool if Pat Benatar appears on Stranger Things. That's just like a little thing that I was thinking of. Then the next song, Prisoner of Love, it kind of continues the tone with the emotional intensity. Has a nice groove, a great vocal hook. I like the song. Then Out of Touch. And this kind of brings everything together. It's just a very reflective and melodic song. And it just brings everything together. So I think it's a really good album. The album eventually went on to sell over 4 million copies. So it was a very popular album. It's a big hit. I think it was probably her best-selling album. I didn't check, but she also won her first Grammy for Best Female Rock Performance with this album, and it kind of like put her on the map as a female rock artist. I like the album. It's just very consistent. It just has a great replay value. I listened to it again. I listened to it a few times in these past few days to prepare for this, and I really like it a lot. So, in conclusion, why is this a great album? Because it's timeless. I think it just holds up very well. It's just this perfect album where you have the pop songs and you have the hard rock energy. So it's a good album for somebody who likes harder rock music, and also if someone who just likes pop music. I think like both people can enjoy this album. So for that reason, I think it's a great album. That's why it's probably my favorite. Although I haven't listened to all of her albums, but I believe if I did, this one would probably still come up number one. And I think it has a great replay value and it holds up. So that is all. So again, I'm doing something a little different. I've never done Pat Benatar on my channel before, but maybe I'll do some more. Maybe I'll do Get Nervous next, because I remember listening to that one as a child, and I haven't listened to that one in a long time. I mean, many years. So that is all. I'll see if I could stick that episode of Dark Horse Discs up here, because I know it's going to be premiering as of the day I'm recording this. So that is all. Thanks for watching. Please give the video a like. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you have not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. And thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.